gentlemen, and welcome back to the fight. Welcome into the ring and back to the fight to save your marriage. This is Terry, and we are here with episode 4 of Men Save Your Marriage. And today's episode is all about how to stop fighting and start communicating. We talked about leading in the previous episode. We talked about some different things, and now we're going to take this a step further because today I want to give you some practical steps. If you're in a position where your marriage is failing, if you're in a position where maybe you are roommates and not lovers, or you just avoid each other, you're going through all the different stages, okay? One of those stages, or one of the constants in most of those stages, is less communicating and more fighting. And today I want to give you some practical steps on how to help you stop the fighting and start communicating. And I get it. There's a lot of history here between you and her. There's a lot going on. And there's again, it's just a lot of history. There's a lot of baggage, right? And you've got to find a way to clear through that if you want to save your marriage. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I want to give you some practical tips and some on how to be an effective communicator, maybe even more so than you already have been. There's going to be some strategies here on how to resolve conflict without arguing, how to do some active listening, and then how to kind of create some space for honest, non-defensive conversations with your spouse. And if you are anywhere close to where I was at different times as my marriage was falling apart, I would have welcomed some direction on how to have non-defensive conversations with my wife. I would have loved that because it seemed like every conversation ended up defensive, right? Every conversation ended up in an argument, and we just couldn't seem to find any common ground, and it was driving me out of my mind. So that's what we want to talk about for these next few minutes, is how to stop fighting and start communicating. As always, I'm going to bring you 3 strategies. I want to kind of stay consistent. I'm going to shoot a lot of information at you, but you can get the show notes, or you can take notes. You can listen to this again. This is going to be very, very valuable for you. And listen, even if you're listening to this and maybe you and her aren't fighting, maybe you're the kind of guy that never really raises your voice, so you don't have fights. There's still going to be pieces of this that could be valuable for you. Or maybe you're the one that's constantly fighting and she doesn't. You're going to need to learn how to find her level so that you two can communicate together. All of this plays into this in one way or another, and every bit of this somehow finds its way into our failing marriages. So we're all going to have to deal with this in order to save the marriage. So again, back to just 3 points here. We're going to start with the first one, and I want to explain a little bit about the role of how you can become, or how you need to become and practice active listening. And I know you're, Terry, what does that mean to be an active listener? What are you telling me? What does that mean? Well, it's really not about listening so much as it is effective communication, which is crucial in marriage. But communication really isn't just about expressing yourself. That's what we always think, right? I'm communicating to you right now. I'm doing the talking and you're doing the listening. But the truth is, truly effective communication is talking or expressing yourself, but it's also about listening attentively, in this case to your partner, in the most significant relationship that you have. And it's absolutely a fundamental aspect of communication. It has to be. We have to pay attention. We have to listen. And fortunately in marriage, usually you care deeply about your wife. This is the person you care about the most. You're actually listening to me today on this podcast because you have an active interest in trying to save your marriage. So let's explore a little bit of what this means, okay? So what does it mean to be an active listener? Let's start there. It's first of all, it's a quality that you can develop. And it really can lead to a deeper connection and understanding, because it involves empathy, it involves respect, it involves just genuine interest. You really want to know how she's feeling, right? And so you really need to pay attention and actively listen. Now, I will tell you, there was a study in 2016, and if you text me at the end of the episode, you're going to get a phone number from me on how you can text me. If you text me the word study, I will respond to you with a link to this study. But there was a study in 2016 that explored the impact of active listening in relationship satisfaction. And here's what they found out. couples who engaged, he and her both, couples who engaged in active listening had higher levels of happiness and lower levels of conflict. Okay? You're the man. So you lead in the active listening. Don't wait on her to arrive to do the active listening. Don't wait on her to start this. You start it. You start the active listening. If that's not happening in your marriage right now, and you begin to lead, she will meet you there. I promise you, because it's going to almost, if she's not experienced this from you before, it's almost going to take her breath away. Okay. It's going to be very, very important. So how do we use active listening? What are the benefits of it? How does this work in marriage, right? Okay, so here's some of the benefits real quickly. Again, enhanced or more effective communication. Obviously, increased emotional intimacy. When she knows that you are listening, when she knows that you are paying attention, she is more emotionally intimate with you. And if your marriage is failing, one of the most common and first areas that I see the marriage is failing with the guys that I coach is physical intimacy. Well, gentlemen, she will not be physically intimate with you if she is not emotionally intimate with you first. So if you can become more of an effective communicator by listening, then it will increase her emotional intimacy with you, which gives you a far better opportunity or chance to increase the physical intimacy. Okay. That's just a couple of them. Okay. What else? Strengthened understanding. You're going to really understand her better. Plus, this leads to much better conflict resolution and problem solving. When you are really playing an active role and attentively listening to her, then you can begin to figure out what it looks like for us to have a constructive dialogue. Let's collaborate. Let's find a solution that works for both of us, right? But she's never going to get there with you unless you are actively listening. And finally, one of the other benefits, deepened trust and relationship satisfaction, just like that study showed. So those are just a few of the benefits. But how do you do this? Here's a few things that you can do. Okay, real quick, real simple. One, don't interrupt. If she has a thought, let her finish the thought. Now, I will give you a perfect example out of my own marriage before it failed. We all have heard the jokes, said the jokes, and heard, we see it written, see it on social media. Here's this one lone guy, and on this date, this years ago, he won an argument with his wife. And I think on some level, every now and then, we all want to win the argument. But when you're in conflict and when you are in a fight or an argument, when things are hard in the marriage, coming back and interrupting time and again just to win an argument is not really winning. You're winning in the moment. So don't interrupt. If she's got a thought, if she's got something she's trying to express, even because I've been there. I mean, I have been there. And I've been there when she's won arguments. I've been there when I've won arguments. And I've walked away after I've won an argument thinking, that felt good for the moment, but that didn't get us anywhere because I was interrupting her. I was making it harder for us to communicate. I was kind of damming up the flow of communication between us because I was more interested in winning an argument than I was in resolving a conflict. So number one, don't interrupt. Okay. And I would even go so far as to say that when you get a grasp on this, there's going to be a time when she may be talking and you guys are in a conversation. Maybe there's a conflict. Maybe it's just a conversation. And it may not even be a conflict between the two of you. Maybe it's an issue with the kids. Maybe it's an issue over here and you're with money and you're trying to figure it out. Just listen. Don't interrupt. And then when she gets to a place to where you're pretty certain she's done, don't even be afraid to look at her and go, all right, are you done? Can I talk or do you got some more? I'm listening, but I don't want to interrupt. She'll appreciate that. She'll appreciate the fact that you took a moment just to let her make sure that she got everything out she needed to say. So don't interrupt. Focus on her, okay? When you are in a conversation with her, especially if you're trying to save your marriage, if you're in a conversation, turn the television off, close the lid to the laptop, put your phone down, do whatever you have to do. Those actions show that you are focusing. because it doesn't matter how much you can remember of her conversation. If you did it while you had your one eye staring at the television, it doesn't matter. You've blown it. So focus. Pause the TV. Put your phone down. The world we live in today, there is nothing that's going to happen on a screen that you can't go back and either rewind or replay. Give her your full attention. Okay, so focus on her. And then the next one is pay attention. Actually pay attention. Okay, these are important. And then don't be defensive. There's there's going to be times when the conflict is between you and her, and you're going to want to immediately become defensive. This is where you're going to have to lead. And in leading here, this is where you are going to have to just not become defensive. Be the active listener. And this is where you can begin to change conflicts to resolution. Okay? This is your lover that's trying to talk to you. Just sit and listen. Try to understand their point of view. Don't jump to conclusions, especially if you don't know the whole story. Even if you sense that you think you might know what's wrong, or you might know what you did, or you might know something bad that's coming in this conversation, do not jump to conclusions. Okay? And listen to me, it is not an excuse to interrupt them defensively. Do not interrupt and do not be defensive. Okay? Because quite frankly, your defensive attitude, your defensive actions will bring nothing good to this situation. So don't be defensive. And you're going to have to work on these, gentlemen. You are going to have to work on these. And then put yourself in their shoes. Kind of try to figure out exactly how it is they're feeling. Okay? That's important. All right, so that is what it looks like to be an active listener. Now, the second step here is how do you constructively work through conflict resolution? Okay? And how do you resolve conflicts? So this one's real short and real simple. First of all, when there's a conflict between the two of you, regardless of what it is, whether it's directly between the two of you, it's something that you guys need to work on. Maybe it's a money problem. Maybe it's an issue with the kids. Maybe it's an issue with the house, whatever. Okay. Only one of four outcomes are ever going to happen. And if you're armed with this knowledge going in, then this will help you be better at resolving conflict. There's only one of four outcomes. Okay. The first one is it's good for you and bad for her. The second one is it's good for her but bad for you. Well, the third one is it's bad for both of you. Or the fourth one, if you're willing to put in the work with her, a resolution can be found that can be good or at least appropriate for both of you. Those are the only four possible outcomes of a conflict between you two. That's it. So here's the four simple steps to avoid this. Number one, eliminate any disturbances. So if there's a conflict and you're going to go into a conversation, you cannot go into it with emotions running high. You can't bring hurt, you can't bring anger, you can't bring resentment into it. Either one, if you do, one of you two will not listen well. You will not be open. You'll not hear what the other one is saying, and there is no chance of resolving this conflict. So you have to eliminate the disturbances. Second, commit to a win-win. Wait till you try this on her. You're in a conflict. There's something going on. We've got a problem we've got to solve. Just stop. Hey, listen, let's get into this together. Imagine you're saying this to her. Let's get into this together. But I want to commit to this. I don't want to find something that's good for you and bad for me, or good for me and bad for you. What I want to do is let's figure out a solution to this problem that works for both of us. She really is going to need a moment. She doesn't know how to respond to that because you are leading in conflict resolution. So one, eliminate any disturbances, no anger, no hurt, no resentment, no laptops, no televisions, no phones. Get rid of all of it. Two, commit to a win-win for each of you. Don't even be afraid to bring it up and say it. We got a problem. All right, let's deal with the problem. But listen, right up front, I want you to know, I want to get to a solution where we both feel good about it. It may not be perfect for each of us. But that way you don't win and I lose, you win, whatever. I want to get to a win-win position in this problem. And then listen, actively listen. Ties right back to that first point, right? Actively listen to her problem, or her opinion, her position on the problem. That's the only way you'll truly understand how to make it a win-win, is if you understand where she's coming from. And then last, once you kind of both have all laid your cards out on the table, practice brainstorming together. Okay, I see your point here. I understand what you're saying, and here's where I'm at. So let's brainstorm. How can we make this work for both of us in this instance? Right? That's it. And you are down the road and work miles ahead, working towards how you can resolve conflict. And then finally, the last of the three concepts is how to fight fair. Because in marriage, there's going to be fights, there's going to be disagreements. This is what this episode is working towards, how to resolve conflict. But this is how you do it, and you do it fair. And it's important to understand there's just a few things that you got to do. Number one, focus on feelings, not blame and personal attacks. Okay, I understand how you're feeling. I get it. You're upset, or you feel like I forgot, or you feel this, or you feel that. You cannot bring blame into this, and you cannot bring personal attacks. Okay, why do you do this to me? Those words can't come out of your mouth. I'm just using that as an example. She's probably said that to you before. You've said that to her. Why do you do this to me? Something silly. You always leave the gas tank empty in the car, or you always say that, or you always make plans without me knowing about it. Why do you do this to me? No, 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 no. That's laying blame. That's personal attacks. You cannot do that. Okay, so you got to focus on their feelings, being kind to them, while you're trying to be kind to yourself as well. But you have to fight fair. Number two, lose the attitude. Attitude, rolling your eyes, being all defensive with your posture, none of that will get you anywhere. Okay, you can't. It will not work. Attitude is a defensive habit, and you're going to have to learn or find new ways for yourself to eliminate the attitude so that you can fight fair. And the number three, if you have to, take a time out. Just, I've said it before. Don't be afraid to say, you know what, listen, I had a really crummy day, or I really just experienced this. Listen, I'm not right now. Can you just give me 15 or 20 minutes to get into a better frame of mind so that we can work on this together? Give me a chance to calm down. Give me a chance to process something else. Don't be afraid to kind of just like an official on the football field. Whoa, timeout. We're going to take 15 minutes here. Let's do that, and then let's sit down together, right? Now, if you do that, gentlemen, here's the warning. You have to come back in 15 minutes with a good attitude and actually work to resolve the conflict. That's how you fight fair. Okay? Stay in the present. Number four, you do not get to rehash old conflicts. You don't get to use the words, oh, you always this, or you always that, because now you've taken fights, arguments, emotions, turmoil, disagreements, all the stuff from the past, and you've ripped it all open and piled it right on top of this new argument. And if you continue to do that, you will never get anywhere. There will not be progress made. So when you're having a disagreement, when you're in conflict, you have to fight fair. And that means you don't get to bring up the old stuff. Let's deal with today. As you heal later, you can go back and work through the old stuff together. But during a conflict is not the time to bring it up. Okay? Understand also the next one, actually the last one, or the second to last one, I want you to understand that marital conflict is different. This isn't a brother and sister. This isn't, a father and son. This is two people that love each other. You're supposed to be lovers and friends. You're supposed to be best friends. So when you get into conflict, this isn't like having an argument with your buddy at work or your best friend on the golf course. None of that all pales in comparison to this. Marital conflict is different. It has to be approached differently. You owe it to her and you owe it to yourself if you truly want to save your marriage. And then finally, look at conflict in a new way. Conflict is not the end. You're not trying to resolve and get to the end of an argument. This is a beginning. This is a beginning for you two to grow together. This is a beginning for you to lead in marriage like you want to, like you should. And this is an opportunity for a new beginning that you two get to solve problems together. We get to resolve conflict together. We get to fight fairly together. And out of this, if you look at it this way, then your relationship will grow. So that's it for today, gentlemen. This is how you stop fighting and start communicating. As always, I hope you know that you can text me, and I'm going to introduce something new today. I know I've always told you if you have a comment or a question, you can text me. If you find yourself in conflict with your spouse and you need that timeout to calm down, if you need, feel free to text me. You can reach me at 812-648-3380. I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, gentlemen, have a good day.